Hi guys, it's a beastly day here. It's raining, it's freezing rain. So I thought today we would do a little bit of armchair travel and we will go to San Francisco and sketch Chinatown. So an ink sketch with a little pop of color is just a wonderful way to capture the mood and the personality. I'm going to escape the rain and the snow and the ice here, and we're heading off to Chinatown in San Francisco. And what I love to do is sketch with a pen and combine a little bit of color. So I've chosen this street corner because I love the turquoise here. I love the red of the roof. I like the Coca-Cola sign. So there's a lot of food for thought here. So I start by making just a very quick rough sketch, and I decide to eliminate the lamppost, and I'm also going to eliminate the woman, but I am going to keep the parking meter. You can start with a pencil or you can go straight in with a pen. It's up to you. I'm going to start with this line right here. So I make a pencil sketch so faint you can barely see it. So now we're going to put in some splashes of color. And I wish I was painting this in San Francisco, but sadly I'm not. But I'm going to keep it very loose, hopefully to convey the impression that it might be a quick outside sketch. So I'll start with the Coca-Cola sign. Next we'll put in some turquoise, number 63. We'll add the yellow, 43. So the yellow goes down here in the bunting. We'll put it on the street signs that we see just over the corner, and then it'll go in on the windows on the opposite side. And lastly, I'm going to add a little bit of blue-green up here on the roof above the window. So here we have our wonderful splashes of colour, and we're just going to wait a moment and let those dry, and then we'll go in with some ink. So once the paint has dried, you can go back in with the pen and start to sketch, and I'm going to use just fairly loose lines. I don't want it too deliberate. So I'm working on the building across the street, across from my little corner store over here, putting in the windows. The red of the Coca-Cola sign is bothering me because it looks just like a sun, so I'm going to write in the Coca-Cola. Or at least I'm going to write in the cola part of it. I'm going to draw the sidewalk here, and because the traffic meter is in front, I'm going to do that next. So I move around the picture. I don't want to do any details at the moment. I'm just getting in the main blocks, the main areas. So my little shop is basically a general store, and it sells all sorts of things, but all we can really see are the back of the boxes and the light in here. But I've got a big empty space in my picture, so I'm going to put some grey paint in to look like the window. So I mix up some periwinkle, 61, with my black, number 20, and that gives me a nice grey. It's very dark though, so I get more water on my brush and just dilute it, and then I just put a little bit of colour into the window here, and then I take more clean water and I just going to wash it over. And I'm going to take this same grey and put it on the windows on the building opposite. So time to put some details in. I'm going to use yellow rather than gold for this little bit. So I like the way this is coming, but I want to really go to town with some of the details just to convey more of the atmosphere and the feel of the place. So for doing the Chinese characters, I just basically go back and forth with my pen, and then I do a couple of vertical lines. So I'm afraid they're all going to look a little similar, but this is going to be the best I can do since I want to convey a feeling of speed and a feeling of just immediacy and of actually being on the spot. So a couple of zigzags and a line through, and then periodically I put in a diagonal just for variation. To give more texture in the painting, I'm going to do a little bit of hatching on the meter itself so that it's nice and dark. We've got more writing here, and it was partly this decorative text that drew me to the picture. We have some interesting brickwork pattern in, which is always worth putting in. So I also love putting in the brickwork pattern. So I've got the brickwork pattern in, and what I love about these pictures is the concentration of pattern, but then you want some areas of stillness. So I'm going to leave this blank, and I'm also going to leave the sidewalk down here open, and we're going to turn our attention to the window. We'll put in a strip of lighting that we can just see through here. We're also going to put in the permits that we can see hanging in the window. And now we'll draw in the shelves. And we'll put in just the suggestion of the boxes. We don't have to be too exact or too explicit, but we need to suggest there's something there. Now I'm going to take a very fine brush, and I'll do a little bit more of my sort of suggested text to suggest that these things are labeled. And just for emphasis, I'm going to take some black and I'm going to go round the window, because it was the window that really drew me to this subject matter in the first place. Mix up a little bit of sort of a turquoise grey, which will be the 63 in a little black, and I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in just to push this building back. And if you've used waterproof ink, if you've used the Micron, you can just paint right over it. So in my original photograph, I have the lady here. I could put her in, but I don't necessarily love her. So I might possibly substitute somebody else. So creating this library is not too difficult. You want to start with a little head. You want to put the body in, and then the legs are roughly the same length as the body. And you can just suggest the arms, and you can do a very schematic person. And as long as you keep the proportions the same, you can make them any size. So legs and body roughly the same length, small head. And I would always go for a smaller head rather than a bigger head. And if you want to suggest a child, you just do the same thing. Small body, small legs, like so. So what you can do essentially is just build up a whole sheet of these people. So we'll start with someone with glasses over here. Give him a little beard, hair. We'll put in the t-shirt. Put in the legs, put in the feet, and put his arms behind him. And then you have somebody like this, and then we'll do another person, a little bigger because they're coming towards us. So legs the same length as the body almost. Here's the hand, and they're pulling a dog. And most people will just understand this and complete the picture for you. We'll give her another stripy top too. So here I have a page, a sort of a library, a street scene of people of different sizes and different shapes. And I'm just going to cut one or two out and see what they look like placed in my picture. So I decide that I want to use this lady, the woman pushing the stroller. And if I just place her down here, I see that she actually looks about the right size and the right height, and she really completes the picture. So here you have the final sketch. You have the lady almost about to turn the corner, and it's a hot day in Chinatown. And I love the splashes of color. I love the different patterns. And I think it's just a really fun way to capture a street scene very quickly. And I hope you've really enjoyed this tutorial. I can't wait to see what you do.